The schedule's interesting next year because there's a chance to go 4-0 out of the gate. They got Alabama and A&M to open. They've got the return game with Cal. Don't know what Cal will be. That was a pretty good game last year from what I remember. New Mexico, that's a game they should win. And then Arkansas, which is kind of in a world of hurt. And then, boy, didn't they get it? Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri with what? Two of those being on the road. Kentucky, don't know what they get there. Vandy and Nashville, that'll be a win. ULM should be a win. And then they get to A&M and Alabama, some teams with some question marks at the end. That is it runs hot and cold and not much in between.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, Oklahoma inside Jordan-Hare, I don't know how I feel about Oklahoma just yet. At Georgia is going to be a real problem. Yeah. And Missouri, when the schedule came out, I was like, Missouri. But they were really surprisingly good last year. Former Auburn assistant Eli Drinkwitz. So going to Columbia and win that game, they're gonna need Mahomes at quarterback to get that done. And again, I agree with everything else you said. Although that Vanderbilt game, I think, is in Auburn, so that's going to be a mess.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I mean
But yeah, like A&M, is Elko going to be able to take Jimbo's stuff and make something out of that? I mean, I don't know. I just don't know what they got. I know that they keep tripping on themselves, but are they going to stop doing that? Is Mike Elko the guy who's going to be able to turn that around? I don't know. A lot of questions.
And Oklahoma, I mean, you got to play some defense in this league, and that hasn't always been a constant there the last couple of years.
You're right about that.
To say the least.
And Auburn fans are going to have a particular problem with that coach because when he got hired, he ran his mouth about how Auburn was trying to hire him, that he didn't want to go to a place with that kind of dysfunction and something like that. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but they're not going to like him very much. Brent Venables.
Nobody remember that for a home game, will they?
Yeah, they're going to remember that. It's going to be Oklahoma's first trip to Jordan-Hare, and this goober was running his mouth,
Yeah, I think
he's weird anyway.
Yeah, it's just kind of weird to me. You got a defensive guy, and he's not figured it out there yet.
Well, they're playing in a league where all they do is score points, brother. I mean,
well, that's true. But it wasn't always like that at Oklahoma.
No, I know. I mean, I went to high school out there, and I remember when they used to play some defense. It's been a little while. That league just got very offensive-y. But I tell you what, man, that's going to be the big story for the whole league is Oklahoma and Texas coming in, and I think they're going to have a little bit of a come down trying to defend this league week after week. I think it's going to be a mess defensively for them.
Of course, the last time we said that, Missouri came into the league and then won the East twice.
Yeah, why are you talking about Missouri, man? Plus, the East is like fake football anyway. I mean, it's just like the West is where it's at. Those days are over.
Right. Yeah. And then, look, that's a much different compared. The East was down then. I get it. It's not walking into today's SEC West, but it's going to be interesting to see that transition. Like you said, the Big 12 just, I don't know. Those teams are going to have to defend somebody. I guess we're getting redundant here at this point, but the mix is going to be interesting. We got that. We got the 12-team playoff. I'm just really curious where Auburn's place is going forward in all this. But I think again, back to having Nick Saban around, you just felt like as long as he was there, you always had that to contend with. I feel like Auburn's got to feel like it's got a little bit of a new lease on life with just the changes in the football landscape in the last few months.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Saban was a problem for Auburn for a long time. Even though he's a good dude, he just did a great job and put Auburn back, would cyclically snatch dudes out of this state that Auburn really wanted. Now, this last cycle, Auburn was already starting to make some headway, and they pretty much split the players in this state. And it was a pretty good season for recruiting in this state. So it's going to be curious. I'll be curious to see if Kalen DeBoer can keep that going, and if Auburn can keep their foothold, particularly in Mobile, and try to lock down. There's a lot of good players coming up through the ranks in Mobile, which I think of as typically an Alabama town. If they can go down there and lock it down, I think things are going to start turning around. Auburn's definitely getting more talented. This will be the most talented Auburn team on the field this season that we've seen since probably 2018. So, I mean, they're definitely taking steps forward from a talent perspective. And I think some of that has to do with Saban, just kind of him being gone now and him kind of tailing off a little bit last year with the recruiting.
How strong is Auburn's NIL compared to the rest of the league?
I think that they are above average, but they're not Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss does the best job. Yeah. Auburn is efforting to be better. I think they understand they need to be better, which is step one. They went and got a guy named Will Redmond from LSU, who officially is a recruiting ace, but I think he can also provide a lot of insight on how to manage some of that stuff. And that might be one of the most important hires that Auburn's made in a couple of years, because I think Will Redmond is really on the front edge of this whole, you know how it used to be, Chris, 10 years ago, it was like the 9 counting assistants and a couple of folks that worked in an office, and that was your recruiting enterprise. These days, Auburn and everybody else has, your 9 assistants plus 15 or 20 people who really matter. And it's just growing and growing, and it creates these positions where people like a Will Redmond can come in and really make a difference off the field.
Jay, really appreciate you taking time out of your vacation to join me. Any parting thoughts on Auburn football, topics we didn't get to that are pertinent, anything like that on your way out?
I mean, they lost some important people. Carnell Williams, who's an Auburn legend and a really good dude, he resigned abruptly. A couple of days later, Zach Etheridge, another Auburn guy, resigned abruptly. He ended up at Houston. But I think losing those guys hurts a little bit. Particularly Zach was a very good recruiter. Also, Trevon Reed, who was kind of like their best off-the-field recruiter, is now at UCF coaching cornerback. So staff-wise, man, it's just, you got a lot of new guys in some very important positions, and I think it'll be interesting to see if Hugh can get that to work. I think if Hugh is a pretty good guy when it comes to getting people to mesh together as a group.
Yeah.
But I also think that he doesn't put his foot down the way that maybe he should have. And I feel like personally that he realizes that, and he's going to be working on that. So for me, the big story we didn't talk about was just off the field coaching and stuff and what he's going to do about it.
Well, that's just hard to manage these days, because you come down a little too hard on the guy, and next thing you know, he's in the portal. I don't know how you manage a roster.
You got to be nice. You got to know his girlfriend's name and tell her she looks nice. I don't know. I mean, you got to be careful. You're right. I think the days of like coaching players like Rodney Garner did for a long time, I think those are over.
Yeah. Jay, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your vacation. I know nobody's plugged into Auburn like you are. Football, basketball too. We didn't get into basketball today, but there's going to be a lot to talk about. I have a feeling we'll have you on to do that before the NCAA
I hope so.
well, folks,
because
they find
this
all your
team's
coverage.
good.
Oh, they're really good. It's just a matter of, playing on the road in this league is brutal. So
it is. It has gotten really bad. I mean, it's always been tough to win on the road, but man, it seems almost impossible now.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll talk about that a little bit, even though Auburn's played there too against Vandy, but it's a conference thing.
Yeah. All right, Jay, auburnsports.com. Any other destinations out there where people need to catch your work?
No, I mean, I'm the Commodore at auburnsports.com. That's what we do. My wife and I have a bourbon show on Thursday nights, though, called The Bourbon Blend. So if you're interested in bourbon and talking about random stuff, we're on there too.
This man can talk about random stuff with the best of them. We can go to him for that. We can go to him for Auburn. Whatever the case, we're glad he's with us. He's a friend of mine, has been for a long time. Jay, thanks for joining us. Enjoy your vacation.
All right, Chris. Appreciate you, brother.
All right. This is Chris Lee of Southeastern 14, presented by Bet Online.